Right now on Up with KREM, the Washington State Fire Marshal says he's one of many state employees that will lose their job over Governor Inslee's vaccine mandate.
It's very, very unfortunate, but I'm going to leave the patrol.
The family of a Texas student who opened fire in his classroom says he's the victim of bullying and that he brought a gun to school to protect himself.
It still does not justify bringing a weapon to a school.
Right now, the accused student is out on bond. We have team coverage in North Texas this morning.
And experts are working to figure out what made this beluga whale take a 1,000-mile trip to the Washington coast. For now, it's hanging out in the Puget Sound.
Up with KREM begins now.
Good morning and happy Friday, everyone.
Feels so good just to say Friday.
Doesn't it feel great?
It just rolls off the tongue.
It
right?
does so nicely. Thanks for joining us on Up with KREM. I'm Channing Curtis.
Glad to have you here with us. I'm Tim Pham. So let's start off with some good news to report. We want to show you this. It's a map of Washington State, a live interactive map of all the active wildfires the Department of Natural Resources is working on right now. You can see there's not a lot. It's only 3.
That's awesome. And today, burn restrictions in the Spokane County area will be lifted officially in just a few hours. Now that includes Cheney, Liberty Lake, Millwood, and the Valley, and Airway Heights. That means recreational fires are now allowed, but everyone still needs to be careful out there. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher with you and keep your fire small.
So this is all thanks, of course, to the cooler and wetter conditions across our region. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick joining us this morning. And Thomas, tell us a little bit more about, why this is. It's really great that we're not dealing with wildfires this time of year, of course, but it really has been a nice kind of a wet season.
Yeah, well, at least the last month was plenty wet. September ended up with about 1.3 inches of rain, double what we normally get for the season. That helped to quell a lot of the fire season. I believe the Schneider Springs fire is still one of those active fires, which ended up being pretty much the priority across the state the last several months. What a beautiful look outside right now. A cold morning, 36 degrees in Spokane actually marks the coldest point of the season that we've felt so far, and we're just at about our low temperature. Might lose 1 more degree right before the sun comes up in about 25 minutes time. So right now across the board, temperatures are starting to stabilize. Still a cool spot remains at St. Mary's in the 20s. 40 in Pullman isn't too bad. 45 around the foothills of the Blue Mountains in Pomeroy and Lewiston so far this morning. We will have lots of sunshine pretty much throughout the day today, with our temperatures topping out in the low 60s, making for a beautiful Friday ahead of us. So this is one to take advantage of because it might not be quite as warm over the weekend. Small weather disturbance over western Washington, that not going to disturb us on the eastern side of the state. Look at your weekend. Saturday should be plenty fine. Sunday, not so much. We're tracking the rain and the wind for this weekend, and some more weather systems come next week and active next week, all in your forecast in a few moments.
Well, the city's huge library project has some really great developments.
That's right. Nicole Hernandez is live at one of the new libraries to give us a sneak peek before it opens. Good morning, Nicole.
Yeah, good morning, guys. So check it out right here. I am right inside the entrance of the quiet room here in the Liberty Park Library. So what they did to build this place up was, one of the things people asked for was children's play spaces. So they put a children's play space way on the other side of the library, and then on this side they put this nice quiet room so that people can make sure they have everything, best of both worlds. Places to play, places for quiet. So right on the other side of this playroom, if you follow me over here, we've got some art pieces. So they're incorporating local artists into the libraries as well, with these amazing art pieces here, some on the other side of the library as well. So some really cool stuff that they're featuring here in the library to help make it feel really local to this area. So this here at the Liberty Park Library is one of 2 that's opening up in the next month here. These projects have been in the works for years now. They're part of a huge $77 million project that is building and renovating 7 different libraries. The Hive, a brand new library over on Sprague, and the new Hilliard Library are already open. The new Shada Library is opening in early November, and the Liberty Park Library in East Central is opening mid-November. The city designed all of these libraries with help from the community.
Children's play spaces were the #1 requested item from the community when we were doing our community outreach prior to passing the bond, and that's like everybody wanted better children's libraries for the community.
Now, there's also a lot more meeting spaces in every library. Because of COVID, they won't be doing any big grand opening celebrations. The city will do just an official ribbon cutting ceremony to open the new libraries. But this isn't the end of this big project. The Indian Trail Library and the South Hill Library are closing down to start their renovations later this month and early November. So like I mentioned, those meeting rooms are really an important part of what the community asks for as well. The library is opening a bunch of these new meeting rooms in all of their libraries. You can actually start scheduling for those meeting rooms here in the next few weeks. So just go to the library website. But for now, we're going to head over to the Shadle Library, and as soon as we get there, we're going to give you a sneak peek of that one. Live in Spokane, I'm Nicole Hernandez.
All right, the time is now 6:35. Time for your morning rush. More news in less time.
The Washington State Fire Marshal says he's expecting to lose his job when the state vaccine mandate goes into effect. Chuck LeBlanc received a medical exemption, but claims the state will not make accommodations for him to stay. He says he's not against the vaccine, but the mandate that's put him in this position.
It's very, very unfortunate, but I'm going to leave the patrol absolutely loving and appreciating the blessing it has been in my life.
Well, he's joined a lawsuit along with hundreds of others against the mandate. The state says roughly 70% of its employees are vaccinated.
An investigation is underway into an accident involving a submarine from Naval Base Kitsap. Several sailors aboard USS Connecticut suffered minor injuries when the sub hit an object underwater. It happened last Saturday in the South China Sea in international waters during what the Navy calls a routine operation. The sub is now headed to port in Guam.
In Pullman, Cougs will need to bring proof of vaccination to Gisa Field if they want to attend the WSU homecoming game. Any fans over 12 years old will need to bring their vaccine card or a negative COVID test. Kiosks to approve entry will open 3 hours before kickoff. Masks are also required. The Cougs are playing Oregon State. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock.
Washington State Parks is looking for a new leader. The agency says Director Pete Mayer voluntarily resigned this week to look for opportunities closer to his new home. Mayer was appointed director this past March. Now that's your morning rush. More news in less time. Let us know what's going on in your neighborhood by using the hashtag #UpWithKREM on social media.
Well, let's talk about what's trending. The beluga whale spotted off of the Washington coast is still hanging around. Take a look at your screen. You have to see this video. Really incredible. Wow, okay, so this was taken by our sister station in Seattle. Scientists will be using these new clips to try and figure out where the whale came from, if it's male or female, and if it's in any distress.
Is there a probability that it will not survive here?
That's another reason why we're tracking it and trying to see if it's a sick animal. Is that why it traveled as far as it did? Is it a healthy animal and somehow got lost or something?
National experts believe the beluga traveled from the Cook Inlet in Alaska near Anchorage, more than 1,000 miles away. They say taking it back to Alaska is unlikely, but not completely off the table. Wow, just incredible video to see there.
Unreal.
Really great video.
And traveling that far, 1,000 miles, that's a very, very long way. I hope the little guy is okay.
I know.
Or big guy.
I know, seriously. But yeah, really wonderful to see that, you know, people are studying it to see how we can make sure that it stays as safe as possible, because in these situations, it's usually not a great ending because this is not their home. So let's get it home.
I know.
Beautiful animal, I agree as well. Almost sunrise here in Spokane, looking beautiful outside. There's going to be plenty of sunshine today, so even though it is rather chilly as we wake up this morning, it'll be warmer later on today. That's not the case for this weekend or most of next week. We'll have a look at your extended forecast and when to expect some rain and wind coming up in a few moments.
4 people were injured in a shooting at a Texas high school. The suspect's family says this was a result of him being bullied. We hear from our sister station in Dallas next.